Welcome back to Worlds Within, where story becomes space. We're your hosts, Alyssa and Ash, and every episode we explore fictional worlds that don't just live on the page, they pull you in, build themselves around you, and let you wander through them. This is a podcast for readers who don't just love books, they live in them. We dive deep into sensory storytelling, character perspectives, and the world-building mechanics that turn fiction into a fully immersive experience.
All right, folks. Welcome to episode 2 of our Behind Closed Doors season. Are you ready?
So ready.
Okay. Lock the gate and stash your keys somewhere safe because someone is looking for them. We're stepping into Starling House by Alix E Harrow today.
Keeping with our episode structure, we begin with a plot teaser. Our tea today is a poor girl's London fog. So we have Earl Grey tea, a little vanilla syrup, and some milk in our cups. And the fog and mist in this book are of great importance. So this is a nod to that aspect of the story.
Yeah, I don't have a milk frother or steamer to bring to the studio, so that's why it's a poor girl's.
I guess I could have brought my little zhuzher, but it's not.
It's not the same as like a nice London. Don't get me wrong. This is delicious.
Oh, this is great.
But not quite like a latte, a London fog tea latte. Anyway, go ahead.
Can you tell that we were both baristas at some point in our life and so therefore are a little bit bougie?
And you know what? It's hard to find a coffee shop that makes a really good London fog
Agreed.
these days. Anyway.
Maybe you can come over. Maybe you can come over and we'll use my fancy espresso machine.
Yeah, see, I got one without the froth. Okay. Yep. I'll come over.
Well, herding cats here. Herding cats. All right. So let's get into the synopsis. I dream sometimes about a house I've never seen. Opal is a lot of things. Orphan, high school dropout, full-time cynic, and part-time cashier. But above all, she's determined to find a better life for her younger brother, Jasper. One that gets them out of Eden, Kentucky, a town remarkable for only two things: bad luck and E. Starling, the reclusive 19th century author of The Underland, who disappeared over 100 years ago. All she left behind were dark rumors and her home. Everyone agrees that it's best to ignore the uncanny mansion and its misanthropic heir, Arthur. Almost everyone, anyway. I should be scared, but in the dream I don't hesitate. Opal has been obsessed with the Underland since she was a child. When she gets the chance to step inside Starling House and make some extra cash for her brother's escape fund, she can't resist. But sinister forces are digging deeper into the buried secrets of Starling House, and Arthur's own nightmares have become far too real. As Eden itself seems to be drowning in its own ghosts, Opal realizes that she might finally have found a reason to stick around. In my dream, I'm home. And now she'll have to fight. Welcome to Starling House. Enter if you dare.
Ooh. This is perfect for this season.
It really is.
Okay, so this was not on my TBR at all, which I'm shocked because it's a freaking bird in the title.
Welcome to Birds Within.
Welcome to Birds Within. But I have seen other Alix E Harrow books pop up on lists, and maybe I just overlooked this one for whatever reason. If I was like building an October TBR, this would have been on it. Like spooky season for sure. But I haven't read any of Harrow's work before, and this was honestly a really great introduction.
So again, this one wasn't specifically on my list. It's been adjacent to because it's very similar to another book thematically that we're reading later. And so it was like, oh, you bought this, so you might be interested in this. But I also, so we are local in Nashville, and we have a McKay's. If you are unfamiliar, it's a big used bookstore, and it's giant and I love it. But I had, like, when we first started this podcast, I had gone and just bought a bunch of cheaper books, just to kind of get a sense of what are other options that we could possibly pursue. And I had purchased, and now the name escapes me, but there was a book from Harrow that I was like, ooh, this might be good for, and it was for a different season. So I was interested in that synopsis and in the brief chapter that I read. So was very excited to read this one when we brought it up because I was like, ooh, I'm excited to give that author a try.
Nice. I think first impressions, overall, I liked the book. I liked it quite a bit. The beginning was a little bit slow for me, I will say, but about like 30% of the way in, it picked up and I was much more interested. I liked the interjection of this is not the story of Starling House, and it reminded me of Emily Wilde's Book 3, Compendium of Lost Tales, and I love how that theme was bookended by the true story of Starling House. I grew to love the house itself as a character, not just what it represented, and the connection to the Underland. I like the idea of found family, of house versus home. I thought was a really interesting theme here, and the lengths we go to for the people we love. And it hints at the origin of starlings, as we know them in the States, which are technically a very successful invasive species of bird that was brought here from Europe in like the 1890s, because some guy was like, this land should have every bird that's mentioned in Shakespeare. So he brought European starlings to the States, I believe in Central Park, and then they just proliferated. And they will hoard your bird feeders. Sorry. Okay, I'm waxing on birds.
I think we just need to do like a social media series where you talk about all of your birds.
Stop it. I'm in. Okay, your first impression.
So I agree. It started a little slow.
Yeah.
Like, because at one point I was like, I checked it, the downside of reading on your Kindle versus on like in a paper book is you like don't really have a concept of where you are.
That's a plus side.
I mean,
you don't do the percentage?
No, I mean I have to look for it.
Oh.
Like
you don't race yourself?
No, I don't race myself.
Oh.
Not in
I'm
that.
such an Aries.
In other things, like, yes, but not.
Oh, there's only an hour left in this book. Let me see how quickly I can get it done.
Yeah. Okay. I also don't trust that because like it tells me I have an hour left, and then I'm like, and then I finish the whole book in an hour, and I'm like, okay, well,
it's based on your average. Anyway, it was slow for you.
The first part was slow, and I kept like I would like check like where I was page wise, and I'm like, I feel like I've read more pages than this.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've got a lot of things being given to me, and I'm juggling them, but I don't know what to do with them. Like you're giving me pieces of a recipe, but you haven't given me the recipe yet, so I can't even start mixing things.
It's almost like a technical challenge.
Yes, it is like a technical challenge.
There's some Bake Off reference for y'all.
That's a great Bake Off reference. I love Bake Off. But then at one point, I was probably like 45% of the way in, and like things really started getting there. Mm-hmm. And I even texted you, I was like, I have to stop now.
Because you were getting nervous about every bump in your house.
Well, because so much was going on in the book.
Know.
And I was home alone, and I was like, I can't.
I'm actually scared.
I was like, I actually need to, my mind is racing. I kid you not. I checked my locks on my front and back door and the one on our garage door, which doesn't really do anything. Yeah. No less than 6 times.
What's also funny is the morning that she texted me where she was at in the book and her feelings about it was also like one of the densest fog days we've had in Nashville in a while.
So wild.
And fog and mist are so central to the eeriness of this book and the danger of this book. So it was like, oh, that's really really on brand.
Yeah. And then the next day I was I was moving my work was moving offices, mm-hmm. and I get to the new office to like unload my stuff into my new space, and the trees behind our office building are full of starlings because there are, again, invasive species. They are very successful here in Middle Tennessee.
Everywhere.
And
they're the worst.
They just started going nuts. And I texted her, I was like, I can't. They're going nuts right now. I'm haunted.
All right, let's talk about the world a little bit. The first thing is we are in a town of Eden, Kentucky, which is a fictional town, but it is based in reality of the coal mining town of Paradise, Kentucky. This Eden does have a fantastical spin to it, but it is grounded in the story of Paradise, Kentucky. And Harrow adds in themes of and nods to stories and experiences that ring true to kind of any coal mining town in Kentucky or in Appalachia. It is a place that is so bruised and battered by greed and the consequences of coal. In Eden, our fictional town, the Gravely family owns the coal plant and pretty much everything else in this town. They are not very well liked. They stay, they come and visit maybe for a day, and then they skedaddle. But they are trying to buy the Starling House, and they're stopping at nothing to get it. But we've driven through towns like this in the Southeast constantly.
I'm pretty sure I've driven through Paradise, if
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
Where it's just like a few stores and a stoplight, and it's not flourishing anymore. It's a town that is stuck because in Eden, the coal mine has closed. There's a coal plant, but that is polluting the water. There's a fly ash pond that is just making people sick. Like this town is dying. This town is decaying, and there's nothing really that the people feel that they can do about it. I did think in Eden that the modern day references or in this book were really refreshing, because we've read a lot of books where the time period is maybe confusing or it's very old. But this was like, hey, there's $2 Generals. I work at Tractor Supply. There's a Waffle House that doubles as a Greyhound station. And there was even a reference to Little Shop of Horrors. And like the honeysuckle is just one song away from being fed or something. Yeah. And I loved it. And that Opal here uses the internet, which is great. Like she actually does her research on the house, which is incredible. But I liked the modern day references.
They use specific dates too. Like exactly when this is happening. Because like you're given true dates of birth, and this event happened on this date in 2007.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, okay. I know where I was on that. Like I know what I was doing on that date in 2007. I was not yet south of the Mason-Dixon.
No.
In 2007.
Not at all.
So
not at all.
It is very rooted, and where last season I had issues with the blending of reality and the fantasy in like from a historical component. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I can definitely see a Waffle House and these beasts from another realm.
Speaking of Waffle House, when they first said like, oh, you could go buy a Greyhound ticket at the Waffle House, I highlighted it and I was like, you can do that?
I've never been able to buy a Greyhound ticket.
But this is just true for Eden. I don't think it's true for everywhere. I've never bought a bus ticket at a Waffle House, but that would be pretty cool.
To be fair, I've never bought a bus ticket. So not like a Greyhound type bus ticket.
Oh, yeah, I guess not.
Like a city bus ticket?
Yeah.
Yes.
But not a cross country.
Got it.
But all of this makes Eden feel really true and real and current. We're not like wandering through some unknown fictional continent or land in an unknown time period. We know what this place looks like. And I really love in the after kind of the acknowledgments and everything after the actual book ends, Harrow writes about Paradise, Kentucky and the story of Paradise, and even weaves in like John Prine, who I've seen perform at the Ryman here prior to his passing, although the Ryman could be haunted, so he could still be performing there, his ghost. And so it was nice to have all of those real elements to this book before we get into like the fantasy of it all.
Yeah, I like Alix describes and you have it noted as well, but like the honeysuckle and the kudzu, kudzu. Oh yeah, like knotted kudzu on a riverbank or anywhere,
side of a highway.
Yeah, like I know I've driven, again to your point, I've driven past that. I've seen that. I am very much like last episode with like New Orleans. I am feeling that because I have actual tactile real world experience that I'm like, I don't need a lot to get a big picture.
Yep.
But anytime you give me a lot of information, none of it takes away, and I'm like, none of it takes me out, because I'm like, yep, and there I'm at. Like I'm wherever you wanted me.
Kudzu also invasive. So that is where we are at. But central to this story is Starling House itself. And this was my favorite character. This is a sentient and sentimental house. It Oh man, it appears behind like all of the briars and trees, and Opal is really drawn to it, but it has an iron gate with teeth, and they describe the driveway as like a long red lick of drive. It has limestone walls cross-hatched by honeysuckle and greenbrier. The floorboards creak and wail. A petulant door slams somewhere in a distant hall. Like, this house is alive, and that was so cool and fun to read.
Yeah, and it's not just personified in the way that like the wind howled.
Yeah.
It truly is.
Has feelings.
It has feelings, and it loves Opal, and it wants to make her happy, because at one point Arthur describes how he doesn't think Opal realizes that the sunshine follows her from room to room to make sure that she's cozy. And I was just like, oh,
I know.
that's so sweet. Like, it loves her. It like wants, and truly it loves all of, and I don't know if I'm putting the cart before the horse, but like it loves all of its wardens because it chooses them, because it is lonely and it wants to find lonely people to like be less
so
lonely
good.
together.
It's so good. It also moves its stairwells to like fit where Opal wants to go, but at one point like prevents her from getting to Arthur's room. But she even says like, I'm lost in a clever maze of this house. It changes its halls and everything. I loved that they say, or Opal says, like, I thought it wasn't connected to like the electrical grid, and Arthur's like, it's not. Like, it just appeared one day, like the light
one
switches.
day there was just light switches on the
right,
wall.
and then plumbing, like all it just appeared, like the house manifested and created it for itself. The gates come into play quite a bit here, and the gates are often described throughout the book as it has beasts with clawed feet, scaled backs, and mouths full of teeth, and it is locked rudely with a huge padlock that you need a gate key for, or to have the right blood.
Which felt comical to me. The
Yes.
size that they just like
Yes.
that the padlock is described as. It's like, this feels like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon, like
Yeah.
or some
Just comically large.
Yeah, like, who needs that?
Yeah.
Why are we the way that we are?
Yeah. And like you said, the house itself chooses its warden. It wants somebody to keep the house, right? But also wants to provide a home for its warden. And it chooses that person or those people before they've even seen the house, which I thought was fascinating. You get it in the synopsis. Opal talks about having dreams of a house that she's never seen before, never been to before. And that rings true throughout all of the wardens who have been chosen by the house. They dream of it before they find it. And then once they do, they take care of the house. They change their name to Starling. Like, they become interconnected with the story.
Yeah. And it's, again, it comes from that care of like wanting to give a home and to give like companionship to like people who are lost and
Homeless.
alone and homeless, which is just so sweet.
In our story here, Opal becomes a housekeeper for Arthur and starts to take care of the house. And Arthur has kind of let the house itself fall into disrepair. He is preoccupied with other things, which we'll talk about. But she cleans and repairs the house and forms a relationship, not just with the house, but with Arthur himself. And she feels a sense of duty and responsibility towards the house and everything it stands for. And we learn that it had claimed her long before she claims it. Quote here, the house seems to appreciate all of the attention, the way the walls feel like cupped palms around me, the way the doorknob fits in my hand, the absurd childish feeling that I belong there. Just that connection that she forms with this sentient and sentimental home, and claims it as home for her.
Yeah.
I
love because there's nothing like feeling like you're home, like in your cozy, and like that warmth that you get, and to like have gone 20 something years without feeling that, and then to like find it, that's just got to be the best feeling. So
another piece of this book, or the world building, is the stories. Like we mentioned early on, we get interjections of, this is not the story of Starling House, and it is a history from one viewpoint. which I thought was really fascinating in a way to give us more historical context, not just of Eden, but of the house itself and like the lore around it. We get bits and pieces through those viewpoints. It helps the world building for me quite a bit. And it all culminates in that ending story by E. Starling herself.
What I thought was really was wonderful about it was, one, it felt very much like the story of the blind mice and the elephant, where they're like, it's a rope because it's on the tail. And then somebody's it's tree because they're climbing up the legs.
Yeah.
And like how all of them were wrong, but they were all experiencing the same thing. But also, like, none of the stories were necessarily wrong. They were, as you said, told from different viewpoints. And like the importance of like a story can be true. And it can be incomplete, and like that there can be many true sides to the story. And I just think that this was so beautifully told in that manner that like we see, and also just folklore in general. Like there are so many stories that transcend like across the globe, that like how many flood stories do different cultures have? So we all have the same experience, but we've experienced it just a little bit differently. And so we've told this story a little bit differently.
It's almost like a game of telephone.
Yeah.
Right? Where it changes as it continues to be passed from person to person until you get to the source. And once we get to the source of Starling House in the Underland by Eleanor, you learn how tragic the story of Starling House truly is. Eleanor, was a young woman who was taken advantage of because of what she was given and what she possessed, which was like heir and rights to her husband's fortune. And she was taken advantage of by her uncle and married him out of her consent. And the town thought ill of her, and she just felt so alone and so hurt by everything that she had experienced. And she found safety in the world that she created, and a vow for vengeance that drives a lot of the story forward here as we get to the more fantasy part of things. So there's this place underneath the house you enter this place through underneath the house
or you enter it through the mine shaft.
But yes. Okay. Let's talk about the Underland and the Mist Beasts. I thought this was really interesting. A little confusing.
Okay.
A little confusing for me. Like, there is a cellar underneath Starling House that has like a chained door. Don't go in there. Can't get in there. It's blocking stuff. Don't do it.
Key doesn't exist.
It's not buried under the sycamore tree like I thought it would be. You got to befriend the beasts. What does that mean? All I kept thinking of was, have you seen K-pop Demon Hunters?
Not yet.
There's a cat that they call Derpy. Like that's what I picture as the beast.
Arthur befriends.
The big tiger thing. Okay, so you can get to it under the house or you can get to it through the mine shaft, but it's actually a river that you have to drink from to go into the Underland. Opal gets to the river. How does she know to drink the water? Why would you do that?
Well, so
it's such a risk. She sees floating bodies and then she's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drink this water. She even says, I punched my fist into the river. The water splashes into my face, runs into my mouth. It tastes wrong, sweet, rich, and metal, like honey and blood. I swallow reflexively, and the river leaves an oily trail down my throat. If that happened to me, I'm not drinking more of that water. Are you kidding me?
Well, I think we see enough. Like she pulls the Ovid early on in the book, and like she sees the references of, is there a sixth river? And she's like thinking through the rivers of the underworld,
right?
And so, like, I think it made sense that we were getting to a river.
Maybe as a reader, but as Opal,
I don't know. I don't, because
I have so many questions.
I mean, I get it, but like I guess to me, if I'm like, oh yeah, no, if I'm thinking there's a sixth river, this has to be a river of something.
Yeah,
and obviously, if Eleanor is down there, she's preserved for some level or degree.
Exactly.
Right?
I hear the questioning in your voice.
So like, And I don't know, I guess it's not specifically said that like when she swallows that first reflexive bit, like does she start to feel sleepy? But like
she drinks and drinks.
Yeah. And then she
enters a land of slumber.
Yeah.
What is it like to return to your body in this situation?
We don't get that at all.
Is Eleanor's body still there? Does it like decay into a corpse? What happens? I have so many questions about this. But the Underland, we come to find out, is a world of Eleanor, who is E. Starling's creation.
Gnarly.
And it is a dreamland, but also kind of like a nightmare land. It reminded me quite a bit of the Upside Down in Stranger Things. Like the house is there, but it's not quite the house. And then Eleanor is dreaming or creating all of these beasts to protect her and her house that then rise with the mist on the river and become mystical, dangerous creatures IRL in Eden.
But no one can see them.
No one can see them.
They can only be impacted by them.
Yes. And they particularly go after the Graveleys.
Yes.
Anyway. This makes Eleanor Vecna.
It does make Eleanor Vecna. I didn't feel it was like the Upside Down. I felt, honestly, it felt a little bit more Matrix-y.
Okay.
Because like in the scene where Eleanor and Opal are not fighting, but like kind of going at it, and they're like moving through the house and like changing.
Yeah.
Like it becomes that mind game.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool.
That was really well done.
Because it becomes a battle of wills at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the message of the like mind over matter, that like
Opal pictures her safest place in the house, and that's the next room that she walks into. It's the library with the cushy couch and everything. Yeah.
Yes. And it's like it starts as Eleanor's version, and then she brings it back to her version of where the wallpaper's peeling and there's like some cracks and like, but she's like, but this is it. This is what it is. Like, it's not yours anymore. You've lost,
mine.
like, it's mine now.
Right. The house claimed me.
And she like takes, I thought that whole dream bit I thought it was really cool. Like, questions aside, yes.
Yeah. I also really liked that as Opal is taking claim of the house and of the Underland, right? To like cease Eleanor's Mist Beast's creation. She also is treating Eleanor with care of like, you are safe now. There's no need for this. Like, you can pass over now. It's all good. I promise I'll take care of the house. Like, your name is on a plaque outside of these gates. Like, you are not forgotten and you are honored. And just handled with such tender empathy for Eleanor, which I really appreciated in that scene too.
Yeah, she's never at no point is she like, you're the bad guy.
Right.
And I'm going to defeat you.
Right.
She's like, let's heal this together.
Yeah. Yeah. Really loved. I did like the Mist Beasts I liked them all throughout, but up until Opal goes to the Underland to like find where Arthur is and figure out the true meaning of the Starling House, we see that Arthur has a sense of duty to protect Eden and slay these beasts and prevent them from escaping the gates. And we get all of these scenes. The story is written, or the book is written in Opal first person and then interjected with third person point of view about Arthur and like what he's experiencing and how tired he is. He has taken up the sword of this house, truly a sword, and taken ownership and duty to protect Eden and protect the house by fighting these beasts night after night after night after night. And he is just racked with this sense of guilt and shame anytime he fails. At one point, Arthur, he goes away to like boarding school or to high school and leaves his parents, who were the current wardens of the Starling House at that time, and returns and they have passed because the beasts got them. And he's like, I let them down. I let the people who love me most down, and I cannot let that happen again. And so he takes up the sword. He becomes the warden of the Starling House by choice, not by birthright. Arthur's so interesting of a character.
Yeah. I liked the beasts. Like,
yeah. I liked the descriptions of the beasts.
I thought that, so obviously up until the point where we actually get to the Underland, I was like expecting it to be like some kind of alternate reality.
Yeah.
Right? And that these things were escaping through some kind of portal.
Right.
And
very like end of Dark Fever.
Yes.
They're coming through a gate of hell.
Yeah. So like that's kind of where I thought they were. And I almost like them more knowing that they are a manifestation of the mind, because again, like mind over matter, like the idea that with the right conditions, like your mind can be
dangerous.
So dangerous and such an effective weapon.
Yeah. Ugh. And the way they're described in those interjections of this is not the story of Starling House, they're referenced as like, oh yeah, we heard the Starlings kept like white tigers. And somebody said, oh no, I thought they were just like big white wolves. Like nobody quite knows what they were. Turns out they're all of those. And when we put those pieces together, it's like, oh, that's what like people were sort of seeing in the mist around Starling House. It was really, really great. There's so much good sensory immersion in this book, too. A couple of my favorite poll quotes are Opal is describing one of her coworkers at Tractor Supply, and she said, Lacey Matthews, the human equivalent of unsalted butter. That made me literally laugh out loud because I was like, what a perfect way to describe that type of person.
Yeah, and unsalted butter has no business anywhere in my life. I don't care if the recipe calls for unsalted butter. I'm using salted butter, and you can ream me for that if you want.
There's so many funny descriptions that I've grabbed here. His palm felt like a fresh peeled boiled egg. Ew. Love. Oh man, it's good.
Yeah, this again, like because it's set in the modern world, like we get some
good stuff.
The heir to Starling House doesn't look like a rich recluse or murderer. He looks like an underfed crow wearing a button-up that doesn't quite fit. His shoulders hunched against the seams. His face is all hard angles and sullen bones split by a beak of a nose. And his hair is a tattered wing, an inch shy of becoming a mullet.
And his eyes are the starless black of caves. Which brought me back to Court of Winter. When Alara first goes into the cave, which was my portal moment, and seeing like all the glitteringness of it all, I was like, oh, so here's the contrast.
But also like going back to your bird nerd and the fact that like the beak of a nose and the wing of hair that's an inch shy of becoming
Poe from Emily Wilde wrapped in his little raven. He's the bow truckle. I was watching a lot of Stranger Things at the time of reading this. And so in my mind, like as I'm trying to picture what does Arthur look like, I picture the grown-up Finn Wolfhard who plays Mike in Stranger Things, or the musical artist Somber, who have that bone structure, who have that like gawky lankiness to them, who aren't traditionally thought of as like beautiful, right? Like they are all sharp angles at a beak of a nose and a wing of hair. Like that's who they are, and that's how I pictured Arthur throughout this book.
Yeah. And I love that both of them are described as not attractive.
Right.
Like, which is so like
refreshing.
So refreshing and so not the norm. Like you expect the heroine to be beautiful or at least like passably attractive. And like she really just
she has crooked teeth.
Crooked teeth.
Right.
And like what
did they say? Hold on. A freckled scarecrow of a girl.
Yeah. Like just so again, so grounding and so real and so appropriate to the area that they're from.
Yeah. To bring it back to Stranger Things, this is Max in season 5 of Stranger Things for sure. Like this is Sadie Sink. Like in my mind, that's all I would picture.
Yeah.
Who I really loved. Going back to Arthur and kind of the emotional weight that his character brings to this book, which really adds to the world and the immersion for me, is his guilt over his parents, and then also like the role that he played in Opal's mother's death, or the lack of action that he took and that contributed to it. He takes up so much of this shame and guilt that he vows to be the last warden of Starling House, to figure it out, to fully end the beasts and like save Eden, and also let himself go in the process. And I thought it was so tragically beautiful in the same way that I find Eleanor's story. If there's like, he is consumed by these feelings and by the replaying of all of these events. And the only way out he can see is to no longer be here. And Opal's like, screw that, dude. No.
Well, and like there's levels of like perseverance and determination, right? Like there you have Opal, who is just, she is driven and she is determined, but in a very positive way of like, I'm gonna get you out of here because it's the best for you, because you know you're my brother and you deserve better than this. And the
Eldest
positive,
daughter TM.
like, very very eldest daughter TM, but also like just driven to like, I can do this, and very positive. Whereas he's like, I have to do this because I have to be the final. I have to be the
like
last.
A reluctance there.
And like that resignation of, I'm going to do this as long as I have to. And then once I don't have to, I will sleep kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I just think that so often we don't talk about that second type of perseverance. And we get a little bit of that when, like, back in season 1 with Nettle and Bone of Mara, of like, well, no one else is going to do it. I guess I have to, even though I don't think I can.
I gotta go kill this guy.
But then like here again, it is like, it's a bleaker perseverance.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's bittersweet and sad, and also like more impressive because like anybody with a can-do attitude can do it. But like to do it in spite of your attitude, I think is, again, really just touching.
Yeah. Arthur's a really good character.
Yeah.
He's really complex. Even written in the third person, like the complexity is present. We're not getting a lot of his interior thoughts the way we are with Opal, written in the first person, but the complexity is not lost. Speaking more about Opal, she also carries guilt with her for surviving that car crash with her that killed her mother, and this sense of responsibility for caring for her brother. There's a 10-year age gap, I believe, between Jasper and Opal. I will say Opal read much younger to me than 25, 26.
Which makes sense.
It does, like living in poverty and having to kind of grow up on your own.
Dropping out of high school.
Yep. And often when a very traumatic event happens, a lot of your growth and maturity kind of pauses in that time without some pretty serious trauma therapy. But she lives in poverty with her younger brother at the Garden of Eden motel with a surly kind of motel owner in Bev who does look out for her. And she's got that guilt that carries her with her. She carries with her throughout the whole story. And we get these almost like PTSD style flashbacks every time she thinks about the river or her mother or the feeling of surviving and how she didn't really wish to. She let her mom go.
Which, like, that was one thing that I was like, I don't, not that I didn't, I mean, I didn't like it. When she finally realizes that Arthur pulled her out.
Yeah.
She had given up and she was gonna die with her mom.
Yeah.
By choice, not because she was stuck. She chose to stay. And I'm like, how is it that you went from I'm going to die with my mother to I'm going to give up everything to protect my baby brother? And like some people say, or like some characters in the book say, like, you could have just let him go to the state.
Yeah.
Like there are plenty of people that would have taken him. Even like in Eden, he has that friend, that family that takes in fosters,
Jordan,
and they would have taken him. Like,
yeah,
he could have gone anywhere.
Yeah.
And he probably, I mean, you don't know, but he had a potential for a much more stable
existence
life.
Than what you gave him in a motel.
Exactly. And so it's like, how do you go from and honestly, it does boil down to, she's like, I could have, but I didn't want to. Like, I wanted to keep you. I couldn't let you go. So it's like, it's a selfish thing. But I'm like, but you were going to just die. And then that all would have happened to him anyway. He would have left.
Yeah. As I wrote, she's a flawed but capable character.
Yes.
I liked Opal. I liked her attitude. I liked the texture that she brought. I liked the descriptions of Opal, and I liked her story arc. We always knew Opal would be very capable of taking on Starling House and confronting whatever was underneath. Even if she had to pick up the sword, she was like, I don't know how to fight with a sword. Like, this is modern day. This is not like medieval times where everybody could fight with the sword, right? Or like suddenly she's magical and able. Like, no, she's like, I don't know how to do this. Like, this feels really heavy and awkward in my hand, but I'll do it because I have to.
Yeah.
And I'll do it because I can.
And that's why when she first, before she even is actually the warden, when she like saves Arthur from the one, she doesn't kill it with a sword. She stabs a key in its eye.
I know. You're alluding to my portal moment.
I'm so sorry.
But we could go there unless you have anything else to say about the world of Starling House.
I mean, I have a lot to say, but
go for it.
Also not a lot to say. Like,
then don't.
No, I mean, I just think that I'll wrap it up with I really, really enjoyed reading it because it felt so real.
Mm-hmm.
As I said in the beginning, I could not finish reading one night because I was home alone and it felt I was too scared. As a person who very much believes in ghosts and grew up in a haunted house, there is a difference between a sentient house and a haunted house.
Yeah, we learned in Phantasma what a haunted house is.
However, there were definitely moments that felt like the sentient house was haunted.
Yeah.
And
particularly in Arthur's tellings, right? Of like the scaled creature that he had to kill in the middle of the night.
Yeah, because of freaking Eleanor.
Yeah, freaking Eleanor.
I guess technically Eleanor is haunting the house.
She is.
So, okay. I suppose.
Hold on, final thing.
Okay.
The house itself becomes sentient because the wisteria that wraps around the house is growing and reaching into the river that they have drunk out of to get into the Underland. Like that, I loved the interconnection.
Yeah.
Of like, here's what this river can do, even though I find the river a little bit confusing. It brought the house to life.
Yeah.
And it is the it's great. All my words have left.
It also makes it, I think she comments at one point, she's like, I don't understand how the wisteria is growing here.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, oh, it's because the river's under the house.
Drinking this water. Yeah. It's great. Okay.
I just want this house. I'm going to be honest.
But no missed beasts?
But no missed beasts.
Okay. Let's get to our portal moments. At the end of every episode, we talk about where the story felt the biggest, where we felt the most immersed. And you alluded to mine, which is when Opal first sees the beast after coming back to the house and finding Arthur fighting them. And the way the description of this beast is written, I was like, oh, that's so scary. Its body the color of mist, its eyes the color of midnight, far worse than any of my nightmares or daydreams. It's as if someone had given a child a piece of white chalk and told her to draw a wolf. Ugh. And you know, like when kids try to draw something, you're like, are you sure that's a wolf? But it is horrifying in this way. And she describes like when it walks, the grass dies beneath its feet and it latches on to Opal. And the only means of defense she has is the gate key that she stabs in its eye 3 times. And ladies, am I right? We carry our keys between our fingers for this reason, to kill mist beasts. But it ends, like that scene ends with her saying, I am not okay. I am not okay. Like, this is not a heroine that is like, and I'm stronger for it, and I'm badass, and yada yada. She's like, I am not doing well, y'all. Like, I'm not okay. I just found out, like, my true family name. I just fought an imaginary creature with a magic sword and these keys, and I'm very close to acting on these very confusing feelings for Arthur. Like, I'm not okay. And I was like, same. I also would not be in my right mind in that situation. But that scene, it's almost a scene within a scene, felt so big to me. Oh, I loved it. What about you?
So honestly, this whole book from like the vibe standpoint, obviously, like I was like, What's on my front porch? Absolutely nothing. Or the Amazon delivery person.
Yeah.
Everything's fine, right? But so I definitely felt this book a lot. I will say, and I think you know this. So when I was younger, I also almost drowned, and several times actually. Probably shouldn't have let me near water. But
and then we moved to the beach.
And like, I don't know if you remember, but when I first lived there, like I couldn't go in the water. Like once the water hit like my belly button or my breastbone, I couldn't go any deeper because I would start to hyperventilate, because the idea of the water getting that close, I could feel it crushing my chest. I could feel the air like sucking out of my body, and it was terrifying. And so that obviously I did not have to overcome this for like any mystical or like life-changing reason.
Your crow boy.
I just did it because I lived at the beach. And, now I'm not going to talk about how many years later I can go in the water, and I can go under for a little bit and it's fine. And I've learned to swim. So
thank goodness.
You can learn even later in life, guys.
So thanks for telling us. What's your portal moment?
Oh yeah. Sorry. So my portal moment, whenever she talks about the trauma of like being in the car when it goes under the water, and then like the classic PTSD, and she talks about like the feeling of that panic when she's in the water. And so then like all of those were like a little harrowing, but when she goes into the water to go to the mine shaft and she's like, she squashes the panic and she like breaks through it. I very much understand how that feels from the like, again, I didn't have to do it for any
save the
world reason, but the idea of like breaking through your fears in that way. And again, I think that goes into the theme that I've kind of picked up through all of this is the mind over matter, that like at some point you can break through those traumas, and like it's scary, but you do it, and then like you're better for it, and like you still like she still feels the panic. It's not an easy as simple as like I'm good.
Right.
It's okay. I have to, and I'm going to, and like I can feel both things at the same time. And I just kind of, again, going back to last episode where we talked about like OCD and how that manifests and how that's treated, I thought that this particular aspect of trauma was really well handled. So
at that point, I believe it is written either the river or the water wrapped around me as if it was waiting for me.
Yeah.
And it's such a haunting way to describe that sensation, but then also like you've said, confronting that fear, like it's as if this was waiting for me.
Yeah, because there's it's waiting for me to take me down.
Right.
There's it's waiting for me to come back.
Or to push me through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whew. All right, I think that's a wrap on this episode of Worlds Within. Before we go, let's give Starling House our immersion rating on a scale of 1 to 10 portals. I'm going to let you go first.
So I'm going to go with an 8. Because again, I felt it, obviously. But like to your point, there were a lot of moments where I there were a lot of moments that I had to like suspend some things. But also the thing that when we didn't even talk about this, but there are many footnotes.
Oh, yeah.
And they're great. They give such great context to the story. And again, they give that very clear delineating sense of time. But where I really enjoyed last season, Emily Wilde's, it was, hey, I have this footnote and I've amended it within the chapter, but at the end of the entry.
Yeah.
This was, I have to click into it, read it, and then click back out of it.
Yep.
And that took me out because I had to do more to get it. And then I was like, okay, now I have to go back and read, like, all right, so this is what you're telling me about what was just said. Okay, now I have to reread what was just said and then keep going.
Yeah.
So that made it a little bit jarring for me.
Yeah, I totally get that. And all the footnotes were compiled at the end of the book, as opposed to Emily Wilde, where they were at the end of every chapter, where they were included within the body of the text. I'm going to go with a 7.
Okay.
7 out of 10. I appreciated being grounded in a real but fictional town. I liked the sprinkling in of the fantastical whimsy, almost horror of it. I think I left with a lot of questions that I wish were explained. And I know that that is probably not a realistic ask, but just felt like I wanted a little bit more from this book than what I was given. And as far as the immersion, I don't know that I was as fully immersed as you were in the haunted or sentient house of it all. I really loved it. I loved the house as a character, but found myself wanting, like I said, just wanting more, a little bit more from this. So I'm going to stick with a 7.
I still think that's a very...
It's a high rating.
It's a high rating. And I think...
It's not Quicksilver.
Y'all, we had opinions on
As
Quicksilver.
you know.
Or maybe you don't, but maybe you should.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe you should. Well, thank you for joining us between the winking windows and shifting stairs of Starling House. What stays with you from this story? The Underland, the beasts in the mist, or Starling House itself and the feeling of what makes a house a home? Up next, we are sitting on the porch with The Witches of Honeysuckle House by Liz Parker. Until then, close the windows, draw the curtains, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and let us know, where did you feel the story became space?
Bye.
Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Worlds Within, where story becomes space. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Worlds Within Pod for more episodes, sensory guides to your favorite books, and more.
And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Bye.